Okay. You are a creator. The truth of everything is that we are made up of two things. We're made up of thoughts and feelings. That's it. This three-dimensional reality that exists outside of us, that is our body, it's all an illusion. And it all exists because the thought and the feeling have separated and are now dancing with each other. So when you have a thought, this your imagination is it's switched on, right? And when you have a feeling about that thought, it will be expressed into the world. That's what that's the whole story. That's everything. And essentially, it is the electric and magnetic dance of the world. So most people think that when you act a certain way, that it'll make you feel and think differently. So when you do a bunch of actions, those will develop your inner mind, right? So you have to discipline yourself physically in order to be mentally and emotionally stable. But it actually doesn't start there. It just seems to start there because we always identify real with physical, and action is physical. The truth of the matter is that it always starts with a thought, and thought always gets tested by emotion, and when both couple together, that's when the action comes into play. So this happens in many different aspects, but they're essentially all the same thing. You can think of it as literally the simplest things, like me reaching and touching the top of this, or me lifting and holding this mouse. Before I did it, I had to think about it. And when I thought about it, I felt that it was the right choice. It was going to get my point across. So I grabbed it and I showed it. And then I put it back down. It all started with thought, ended with action. And the middle mediator was the feeling. And that's one aspect of that story. Another is um, when you go throughout your whole day, thinking and feeling all sorts of things, because you're going to interact with other people, and you allow that to enter your mind, and then you regurgitate it, react to it, respond to it, whatever, and then you get home at night and you go to sleep. You'll go to sleep, and your conscious and subconscious mind will become one, and that's when you fall into REM sleep. And that's where dreams start to occur. You start processing the day you just had, and you start developing the day that's going to happen. Because if you go to sleep late, let's say you go to sleep and you only get 2 or 3 hours of sleep, you know you're going to have a bad day tomorrow because you didn't get sleep. And inherently, that means that your day is going to be not as good because you didn't spend as much time processing the previous day and developing the next day. So sleep is essentially where the conscious and subconscious mind will meet and um, essentially sleep together. And that's where the whole male and female sleep together because we make love with each other, and that is us sleeping together because it all comes from the inner story. So another way to put this is if you're a bit of a nerd and know what something called a tesseract is, you've probably heard about it from like think the Marvel movies, where there's like this sacred object, the Tesseract, they're trying to get a hold of, and it's just those the basic fictional stories. When in truth, uh, the Tesseract is actually a real life thing, and it's you. You are the Tesseract. Your imagination is a Tesseract because the Tesseract concept comes from a large cube having a smaller cube inside of it. It's pretty much a four-dimensional cube. Three-dimensional cube, everybody knows what that looks like. It's a square in 3 dimensions. A tesseract is a cube in 4 dimensions. So essentially you have, if you want to imagine it in our 3 dimensions, you have a small cube that's connected to a larger outer cube. And the small cube is the seed, and the outer cube is um, the result. So the what comes from the seed. kind of like how a seed grows into a tree. Most people think that in this tesseract reality that the outer world or the larger box is the leading uh, is the leading concept of our inner and outer reality. Scientists, I mean, the best physicists in the world all talk about the Big Bang and they look out into space, they look outside of themselves to find physical patterns so that they can prove where the universe came from. Because they believe that the large, the very, very large, the infinite large, created us, the infinitely small. And our inner consciousness comes from our body, and that came from the universe. But in reality, it's actually the opposite, where our inner universe, which is the small seed, the small box in the tesseract, results in the outer box or the outer universe. The reason most people think this, the opposite of this, is because larger is stronger in the physical world. But a tesseract is a four-dimensional object. It doesn't exist in physical terms. It exists in both non-physical and physical. So when you start thinking in terms of non-physical and physical, you can't use science to prove your ideas anymore because they don't line up. The physical world, which is the big box, the large one, is known to have created us. But in reality, it is us that has created the world. Just like in uh, any seed, it has all the ingredients to create a tree. And the tree is massive. It could be the tiniest little mustard seed, and it could grow into a massive mustard tree. But is it the mustard tree that guides the seed? No, it is the seed that guides the tree's growth. And eventually, from that seed comes more seeds because the tree will grow and will sprout seeds, and the cycle continues and it spirals. So it's important for people to realize that the inner and outer are two sides of the same coin, but believing that the outer created the inner is not correct. It is not how it goes. And so it gives us power. The reason that we've been led to believe by elites, the elite leaders of this world, that the outer world created the smaller world, is because they want us to feel powerless. They want us to look out of ourselves into the world to try to find the answers, to try to find money, to try to have power, to try to survive. They don't want us to look within and use our hearts and minds to find the truth that everything is within us, not outside of us. If we started harmonizing with ourselves, with our own masculine and feminine energies, we would create a balanced Mother Nature. But they would rather us not do that because the more we believe in the outer world, the more power they get in this material world. And this material world is where they get their joy. And their joy is temporary. They've bonded with it, they're addicted to it, they can't let it go, they think it's everything that matters. And so, in order for them to enjoy that fun, that temporary pleasure, they have to make sure that we suffer and don't uh, uh, become on their level. Because if we do, we'll have a portion of it for ourselves, and they won't feel as important anymore. They won't be princes and princesses, kings and queens. They won't be worshipped by us. They would have to, because we essentially do worship them, the outside world, and that includes kings and queens and religions with priests and bishops and the Pope and all sorts, even as far as to say the pastors, they all have influence. They all, if you go to the church, everyone's looking directly at them and hoping that they'll teach them some kind of wisdom, rather than them being actually wise. They are more concerned about the fact that they have all eyes on them. It makes them feel important. And the more famous you get and the more successful you get, the more you're willing to let go of your inner and grasp for the outer. Because everyone that gets richer usually gets more corruptible because they become more addicted. This actually also goes hand in hand uh, with scientists. Scientists aren't here to help us. they do appear that way at first because they're doctors, they're medical people, they heal us, right? Um, but wrong, actually. They heal our body, not our true selves. Because who we are is the inner, the seed, which is not this body. This body is an illusion. This body will die one day. This body will never make it out of this world alive. And the doctors that are so worshipped by our society can only help us save our bodies. And saving our bodies allows us to be just attached for a little bit longer. But it doesn't really save us because what needs saving is our inner world, and our bodies are our outer world. They're the temporary. Our inner world is the eternal. It's the real. And um, so when a doctor or a scientist becomes successful, they become very, very wealthy. And a lot of the time, doctors push drugs on people, pain meds, and people get addicted to them. And before you know it, they're in their own new misery and they're just numb to it. And then there are the people that discover, the physicists and scientists. They are obsessed with putting their name on things. When they discover a new discovery, it isn't to better humanity. It is to be remembered by humanity. They want to put their name on a discovery so that their name rings true forever because it makes their ego while they're here feel better, and that's their main goal. Their main goal isn't to better humanity. It might feel good to them that they are bettering humanity, but that's still a part of the ego. It's about them feeling like they're bettering humanity rather than actually bettering humanity. And another way to look at this is religion. It's like you have black robe priests, and then in science you have white robe priests, and they're on the opposite side. One's metaphysical and the other one's physical, and they typically kind of go head to head, just like in any divided politics, like the red and the blue on our politics. And in the end, it's not about helping humanity or finding truth or bettering ourselves. It's all about division, and it's all part of the system. It's all part of the what people call the matrix, the uh, the separation of our our people and our consciousness. If people disagree, they fight. If they fight, this few people that are in charge get away with murder. And if our inner world is conflicted with the outer world, trying to not die, trying to think, trying to feel one or the other, trying to think with their head or think with their body, they're constantly getting bored, and then they don't want to be bored anymore because they feel guilty, and then they start being really good, and then they get bored of being good, so they go and do bad things again, and then they feel really guilty, so they do good again, and it's just this constant battle of what you call sin. And that sin is because we're constantly chasing, constantly changing, constantly being disloyal to who we truly are. So it's important to remember that we are the inner world. We are not the outer world. The true power comes from our divine unity from within, not from money from outside. If you try to reach for something, reach, it will be pushed and repelled away. So in order to gain something, you must first fix your thoughts and your feelings, and then it will come to you. If you try to go to it in the physical world, it will just run away from you. And even if it lets you catch it, it ends up being a trap anyway. It doesn't actually fulfill you. Because once you get it, you haven't done the inner work. You're now just going to be essentially a rich dweeb, because you have nothing to show for it in the inner world. And you can't take this physical world with you once you die. So this is just pretty much this is the message of today. I just wanted to remind people that it is what's within that truly matters, and what is out there, if it's important and matters, will come to you. And if you fix your thoughts and your heart, your feelings and your mind, it will meet you halfway. It always does. This is the only way to hack this system. If you don't follow this, then you're going to end up, uh, if you don't control the simulation from within, then the simulation will end up controlling you. So Yep. I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching.